Hello everyone. And today I am talking about the Tata Motors Passenger Vehicles Limited. Here is the data of Tata Motors profit and loss account, quarters data, balance sheet, um, cash flow accounts, and data sheet. First, I am talking about the profit and loss accounts. Here is the first data. I take the data from data sheet. Data is for year 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24, 25. First, I'm going to talk about the operating profit, how to calculate operating profit. First, I take the I took the data from data sheet, calculated expenses, and then I calculating operating profit. For calculating operating profit, first we have to select the tab of before sales tab and subtracts the expenses. Then I am talking about the net profits, income expenses. I took the data from the data sets for others incomes, depreciations. I took the data from data sets. Interest. I took the data from data sheets and profit before taxes. Then I talking about the net profits where I took the data from the data sheets for net profits. This is the net profits data. Then I calculated EPS, earning per shares. I used the functions of if that first I took the data from data sheets. Then I calculated price to earning. I used the function of if for price to earnings, where first if functions first I took the data from data sets for pricing. Then I calculated price to earning. I used the function of ifs where B15 greater than 0. Then I used B15 divided by price to earnings divided by earning per shares. Price then divided by earning per shares. Then I calculated price to earning ratios. In every year calculations, I track from every year's this every year I use the same formula for this. Then I calculated travelings. Travelings, I calculated sums and took the data from the quarters. H42, H42 K4s. Where H4 is the sales data. Took the data from the sales from June 24 to September 24 to June 25. Then I calculated calculated expenses from. Then I calculated best case scenario where I used the functions of K4 plus mm, K, K4 K4 plus M23 M23 multiply K4. Where I calculated, after that I calculated the operating profit for best case, where I how to calculate multiply M for multiply M24. After that I calculated the worst case. For worst case, I calculated K4. K4 is a sales plus and 24 mm, and 24 is the mm, mm, and 24 and multiply L4. And then going to the quarters data. Uh, Sales is I took the data from the data sheets for sales. Uh, and after that I calculated expenses. I took the data from the data sheet for expenses. Then operating profits. I took the data from data sheets for operating profits. Then I incomes, expenses, depreciations for everything. I took the data from the data sheets. In this sheet, I calculated only OPM. For OPM, I used the functions of IPS, where before each use the functions of first if, and then took before reaching the sales is greater than 0, and then basics divided by operating profit divided by before divided by profit. Then I calculated use the if function. I calculated OPM. Then I moved. Then I moving to the balance sheets. In balance sheets, we are we took in balance that took data from the data sheets. And first is the equity share capital data, then reserves. After that, borrowings, others liabilities, and totals. Then net blocks, mm, ca- capital work in progress, investment, other assets, and totals. Every data took from the data sets. The working, then I calculated working capital. For working capital, mm, uh, 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 for working capital, the formula is for working capital is E13 other assets minus others liabilities. Uh, for also other assets minus other liabilities in the year 2022 is the same formula used. Others assets minus others liabilities. For every year, I use the same formula. Mm, Then I took the data of debentures. I took the data from data sheet for debentures. Mm, Inventories. I also use inventories. Took the data from data sheets for inventory. Then I calculated debtors day. Mm, For calculating debtors, I use the if functions equal to if profit, and I took the data from first the profit and loss accounts for before. Mm, Before data is for sales. Mm, Sales greater than zero, and took the data from the balance sheets of mm, debtors. Mm, First is the sales greater than zero, comma balance sheet the debtors greater than zero, then profit and loss. Mm, Sales then sales divided by 365 used calculated debtors day for 1 year 365. This is the value of debtors. Use the same formula mm, for all years. Mm, Years 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 22, 23, and 24. Then I calculated inventories turnover. Mm, I use the function of ifs. And I took the data from the balance sheet. Data is for inventory in greater than zero. Then I took the data from the profit and loss. This is the data for the sales. I took the data of sales. After that, I took the data of inventory. Uh, this is the value, or I calculated return to equity. In return to equity, I used the functions of if for this calculation of return to equity. Then I calculated return on capital. I use the function of p. First, we have to add p. Uh, we add. I used equity share capitals. It is. Then I added some data from before to see B4, B5, B6, C4, C5, C6, then data range of, and I took the data from the profits and loss accounts, multiply by 2 and divided by same functions I used previously. Mm, mm. Then I am going to talk about the cash flow. Um, in cash flow, first I took the data from the data sheets. After that, for the cash from investing activities, I took the data from data sheets. Then I calculated uh, the net cash flow. I took the data from the data sheets. This is the data of Tata Motors Passenger Vehicles Limited. This is profit and loss accounts data. This is the quarters data. Mm, and this is a balance sheet data, and this is the cash flow data. Mm, Years I calculated the sales of sales growth, OPM, um, price to earnings, um, for 10 years, 7 years, and calculating for the different years. First calculation for 10 years, second is for 7 years, third is for 5 years, 3 years, and this is the recent data calculation. After that, I calculated the best case and worst case. Best case to for sales growth, and best case I used functions of max. um, with the max shops K312 L23 K20 23 to, and then I calculated OPM. For OPM I used the F functions. Mm, then I calculated best case for OPM and worst case. I'm sorry. Then I calculated worst case. I used the minimum functions for the worst case calculations. Calculating worst case. First, I calculated that 10 years of sales growth, 7, 5, third, and recent. After that, I choose use the minimum for the worst case calculation. After that, I calculated the OPM. For OPM, I calculated best case and worst case. So use same function for worst case. Use the max functions, and to worst case I use the function of mean. And after that I calculate the price to earning. I use the same uh, functions for price to earning. uh, then I calculated best case and worst case for price to earning. In the ratio parts, I calculated dividend payout, OPM,